My roommate in college was the first gay person I really knew. I watched her come out to friends, family, and all of our sorority sisters. I watched her date, meet the love of her life, stood by her side while they got married, and have been their biggest fan ever since.
Yes.
Simultaneously telling myself, there's no way I can be that vulnerable. There's no way I can let other people know I'm gay. As a teenager and young adult, I constantly compared myself to my friends, wondering why relationships were working out for them, but not for me. After I graduated from college, got settled into a job and apartment, I joined a dating app. I watched my friends go on all of these great dates and form relationships so easily. Meanwhile, I went on date after date after date after date with men that were wonderful, but just not right for me. I would find these frivolous details about them that I didn't like and declared that's why we didn't work out. I dreaded talking to my parents and my friends about it because I felt like I was letting them down when yet another one didn't work out. In my head, I knew there was more. I've known I like women for most of my life. It's a part of me that I buried deep down for years, so deep that I lost count of how many straight dates I went on. I was fearful that I would be made fun of, not accepted, not trusted, and no longer loved. Fearful of people knowing the real me. What would people think of me? Would anyone still want to be friends with me? Would my friends who are girls think I'm into them? Would my parents still love me? How would I tell them? How would I explain this to my brother who has autism? The first time I came out was to my best friend, Allie. We had taken a trip to Kansas City to see one of our favorite podcasts perform live. I had been building up the courage for months to tell her. The number of times I heard her saying, "Allie, I have something to tell you," was countless. I knew it was time. I knew I needed to rip the Band-Aid off. I finally felt brave enough, after several drinks, to tell her that I was bisexual. Many tears later, and I went to sleep that night feeling relieved that finally someone knew and I wasn't sitting alone with this huge secret anymore. The love and acceptance I felt from Allie was what I needed to start dating women. Fast forward to summertime of 2020, when the world had been stuck inside their homes for about 4 months, I was faced with the realization that our lives are short and precious, and if I didn't live it being 100% me, then what's the point? The internal reckoning I went through to decide to really be myself was rough. I know we were all crying in 2020, but I added to the list. I was terrified how my life would look if I kept pretending. I was also terrified how it would look as an openly queer person. But I'd had enough of hiding. That's when I knew it was time to come out to my family. I struggled for months on how to tell them. Do I stop them in the middle of dinner and say, "By the way, I'm gay"? Do I pause the loose game and say, "I like women"? Nothing felt right or natural until one night we were having a conversation as I was leaving their house, and I just blurted it out. There was immediate shock on their face, obviously, followed by deep, unconditional love.
Yeah.
Why didn't you say anything before? Were you afraid to tell us? I explained that I finally got to a place where I was feeling comfortable saying it out loud and wasn't ashamed anymore. My parents hugged me and told me how much they loved me and would support me in this. I stood strong that entire conversation and then sobbed as soon as I got in the car. And if anyone knows me, they know it's a miracle that I didn't start crying from the moment I opened my mouth. This is something I had been building up to my entire life. And it was finally out there. The relief I felt, the pressure that was on my shoulders, it's like nothing I ever experienced. After that, my life felt like it truly started. I started seriously dating women, shared this news with even more friends, and began figuring out what it meant to identify as a lesbian. I went through a breakup with my first girlfriend, explored my style, consumed media of people who were like me, and then finally attended my first ever Pride. That is where I saw the woman I had just ghosted weeks before. Listen, at that point in time, I'd been on dating apps for 6 years. I was exhausted. I needed a breather just for a moment. But then I saw her and realized what a huge mistake I had made. I messaged her later that night and played coy and said, "Did I see you at Pride?" Acting like we didn't make extended eye contact. We went on our first date the following week, and now I get to marry Tiffany this fall. With Tiffany, it all feels right. I have found the person who loves me to my core. I found the person who makes me laugh like no one else can. I have found the person whom I want to spend the rest of my life with. Coming out and coming into myself was the best gift I could have given myself. I was so deeply afraid of being me and yet had no idea of the life that was waiting out there for me to embrace. I'm incredibly lucky to be surrounded by family and friends who supported me since I told them my big secret. But not everyone gets this lucky. This is not how these stories usually go. You might have thought I would come up here and tell you how I got kicked out or cut off. I often reflect on how easy my coming out journey was and how I could only hope the generations to come have it even easier. Thank you.